right, thank you, Carol. KP4MD and N6EMF here. I'll take net control. Good evening. This is Wilson, November 6 Echo Mike Foxtrot, your net control operator for the River City Arcs Slow Scan TV net. This net serves for training and practice in image transmission modes and meets Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. on the N6NA repeater on 441.30 megahertz. River City Arcs members and all licensed radio amateurs are welcome to participate. If you wish to join the net or need to make a call at any time, please announce your call sign between transmissions and net control will acknowledge you. If an emergency should arise and you need the repeater, please contact the net control by saying break break. A double break signifies emergency traffic. The net will stand by for you until the emergency is terminated or the traffic is moved to another frequency. Stations who wish to check in are asked to respond with their full call sign using the recognized ITU phonetic alphabet and their name. I will recognize each station before continuing. Any station who wishes to check into the net, please come now.
KL7HQR, Neo in Antelope.
Whiskey 6 Bravo, Sierra, Tom, and Carmichael.
This is Kilo Papa 4 Mike Delta Carol, Citrus Heights.
Alpha India 6, Delta Golf in Florence.
All right, it seems like we have the usual cast. I have 4 check-ins so far. Kilo Lima 7, Hotel Quebec Romeo, Neil and Antelope, Whiskey 6 Bravo Sierra. We got Tom and Citrus Heights, and KP4 Kilo Papa 4 Mike Delta Carol Citrus Heights. I meant to say Carmichael for Tom, and I apologize. AI6DG Joel and Florin, N6EMF here. Any other check-ins? All right, well, let's get rolling here. I don't have a picture ready to go. I thought I had one and didn't come across the iCloud as intended, so I want to pick on Neil. Neil, if you're ready, KL7HQR to transmit a photo, go right ahead.
Roger. Good evening, everybody. We'll be trying a PD-120.
Well, thank you for sending that. I can see a photograph of at least one building, maybe two side by side with two different. Geez, I can't name the architecture, but maybe Gothic, maybe? I can't tell, but nice floral arrangement in the foreground with some people. Looks like it might be in front of a church somewhere or of some kind. And can't tell what's happening there, but I will say that I did receive a photo with good color spectrum, people, flowers, and buildings in the background. And we'll turn it over to the next person to let us know if they were able to copy. Tom, W6BS.
All right, this is Whiskey 6 Bravo here, and I got what you got. I also posted it up on Discord. There's a building with pillars in the background, and it has, I don't know, several statues on top of it, holding a spear perhaps. It's not that clear to make that out. And a bunch of flowers in the foreground, various arrangements, and then people in front. So it's like tourists looking at maybe historical buildings, and I'm not sure why the flowers here, what I'm actually looking at, but it's interesting, and it's a good image. That's net control.
All right, very good, Tom. Thank you for that. I could see something come across the Discord, sir, so I think that's probably something from you. Thank you for that. Carol, KP4MD, were you able to copy?
Yes, this is KP4MD. You can see what I received on the YouTube channel. This is, I'm going to guess that this is some part of Neil's travels in Europe. It looks like the front of a cathedral or some other type of, with all the statuary up on the edge of the building there and the columns. It's kind of almost like a Baroque or Rococo type of architecture, and plenty of flowers in the foreground. So I'm sure there's a story behind this. Back to net control. This is KP4 Mike Delta.
All right, looks like so far we got most of us are copy. Thank you for that, Carol. Joel, Alpha India 6 Delta Golf. Were you able to copy the photo from KL7HQR?
Excellent reception, the usual handful, well, more than a handful, but not too many, of the noise pops from PAWS. We've got a small crowd in the near field on the bottom. Behind them are flower arrangements of some kind, but they're like 8 feet tall or so they're big flowers. I see some flowers on the right, and I don't know what any of the rest of it is, but it's some sort of flower arrangement. And behind all of this in the background, I think it's one building, and it's kind of at an angle to us. So on the left, it's closer than it is on the right. On the right, you have a whole bunch of columns, kind of like what you would find above a grand entryway to a building. And on top of that, you have ornamental railings and cornices with, I would say these are bigger than life-size statues lining it. So we've got half a dozen big statues around that. And some windows to the left, kind of in the middle, in the distance. In the near field, in the big building on the left half, we've got maybe like a big window, or like you find like behind the altar of a church maybe from the outside. And so we've got all kind of ornamental carvings and statues around the window, and a big statue kind of in the middle of the big window that we can see, because who knows what's behind the flower arrangements. I mean, the flowers are like half the picture. But I don't know if it's a church, but it's kind of that look, but it's obviously some sort of important building in wherever this is. Maybe South America somewhere? Italy, I don't know. I haven't traveled. My idea of traveling overseas is getting off the cruise ship for a day excursion, or maybe walking across Rainbow Bridge from Niagara Falls into Niagara Falls between America and Canada. Back to net AI6D.
All right, appreciate the different perspectives on this, and now we get to hopefully hear from Neil. Thank you for that, Joel. Neil, you want to share with us the details of the photo?
Roger, this is KL7HQR. Well, everybody is right on what it is. This is, I used to go audit this is in Mexico. I used to go audit in Mexico quite often, many times a year for over 15 years. In this particular case, this is the city of Guanajuato, which is the capital city of the state, Mexican state, called also Guanajuato. And it's considered one of the most beautiful cities in Mexico by many. There was a tremendous amount of silver mining in the past, and most of the traffic, most of the driving is done underground through the mines. They added some additional areas in there so you can drive, and it's all in mountains and hills. So every so often you come out of the mine tunnel and you look up and you can see the streets up above and the mountains. And it's quite a place, and most of the town itself is just pedestrian. They have very, very narrow streets that you can stretch your arms, and you cannot stretch your arms and touch both sides. And in Spanish streets are calle, or calle, depending on where you come from, and they call just walking through the streets callejoneando. So it's a beautiful place. You can take a look at it. And this is a day which is the 30th of March, so it's coming up. It's called the Day, the Día de las Flores, de las Virgen de las Dolores. And so it's the Festival of Flowers, and they're all artificial flowers. And all day and all night long, people are walking around, sitting around, selling flowers and food, and they stay up all night. And we had a place right downtown, so we could look down on it. The big building on the right-hand side is the theater, I think from the statues of the Muses on top, and the one on the left is the local church. I don't know if it's a cathedral, but it's the local church. This was taken on 30 of March in 2010, a long time ago. Back to that.
All right. Did you say that was 2010, Neil? That was about 10 or 11 years ago?
That's correct. So those little kids there are probably married with kids now.
Wow, that's very interesting. Yeah, that's I guess I was not aware of that. So, what was the things that you said? You said the 30th of March is what now?
It's the Festival of the Flowers, the Day of the Flowers, and of the Virgin of the Dolores. Dolores is like a paint, you know. It's one of the things that they observe there. And yeah, 30th of March. And they also have other festivals there. They have the festival, Festival Cervantina, all about Cervantes, and they have reenactments of Don Quixote and Sancho Panza. Many, many different festivals. It's a beautiful place to go.
Wow, that sounds like a lot of fun, and it looks very festive. And I didn't want to believe when you said it that they were artificial flowers. Did anybody else have any comments or questions about photos from Neil?
Yeah, I'll say that the Nuestra Señora de Dolores, that is Our Lady of Sorrows in English, and it certainly has a relationship to this time in the liturgical year where we're entering into the week of the Passion and Holy Week, coming up to Good Friday. So it certainly is. It has that significance. And thank you for sharing all that history, Neil. Back to Net Control. This is KP4 Mike Delta.
Thanks for additional perspective there, Carol, KP4MD. Yeah, so we're getting it a few days early. So thank you, Neil. I'm not. Yeah. So any other points?
No, I just want to thank Carol for the much better translation. Thanks, and sounds much better.
All right. Thanks again, Neil. Wonderful, beautiful picture. Makes me think. I want to get some flowers in my home office environment, or at least some house plants. I don't have a single one here, but that triggered a thought that I'll probably go after one. Let me turn it over to Tom, Whiskey 6 Bravo Sierra. If you're ready, Tom, I could ask you to go ahead and transmit a photo.
This is Whiskey 6 Bravo here. I've got on Bluetooth, and I'm using kind of a video camera microphone. Hopefully people are hearing me. I'm going to send something in PD120, and Wilson, you inspired the image.
Well, all right, Tom. I got a photograph that it looks like something I've seen in Carmichael. I know it's cheating because there's the town name is painted right across the top of the mural that I see in the photograph, and I've seen this before. I just know that I don't know where exactly, but I see the walkway. I see the perspective of possibly we call it a mural, and I can't tell you what the significance of this is, but it looks like sort of a historical capturing of possibly the Sacramento River, I suppose. It looks like there's a water line painted in there with a little bit of view of underwater and some kind of ferry boat or steamboat there. But I can't see the context overall. But it did come out as a very colorful picture with just a few pixel pops here and there. But for me, just not enough resolution to be able to discern sort of the historical context or what's going on in the photo. But I could definitely appreciate it. So thank you for that. I see the trees and the nice landscape in the background. Let me turn it over to Neil, number one on the list, KL7HQR. Are we able to copy from Tom?
KL7HQR, good copy, very good copy. Extremely feel artifacts, very colorful. Yes, just like you described, it's a mural going from right to left, and it's much closer on the right-hand side and fading on the distance. It says Carmichael. Primarily, the palette is blue. There are some bright oranges and reds on the top right. And I do see what could be a tug, just a little boat, and I would assume to be the Sacramento River. Like you said, not too many details. There's a lot of colorful rocks on the right-hand side on the bottom, and apparently the sun was hitting from behind, so it appears to be a shadow in the front. I think if the sun was in a different direction, we may have had more resolution. There's some trees in the background, and overall, very nice-looking picture. I don't know. I have not seen that in person. So, back to Net.
All right, thank you for that, Neil. KP4MD, Carol, were you able to copy?
Yeah, this is KP4MD. I do I kind of remember seeing this driving somewhere, and I couldn't resist. I went ahead and I put in Carmichael mural in Google, and it came up with the Great Wall of Carmichael. And it makes sense that those river scenes are the American River because that's the river that goes by Carmichael there. And see, it's called the Great Wall of Carmichael. It kind of, if it's analogous to the Great Wall of China, it was probably built to keep out the barbarians from Citrus Heights from invading Carmichael. Anyway, I'll let Tom give the description. And by the way, Tom, when you're talking on voice, your modulation is very low and it's very hard to understand you. So back to net control. This is KP4 Mike Delta.
All right. Thanks for that, Carol. It makes sense. American River is definitely adjacent to Carmichael, and Sacramento River is a little bit farther away. So I think you've probably nailed that one. Let's see what Tom would say. Tom, I'll give you just a second here. Did you want to talk about your audio at all?
Yeah, I'm not close to the microphone. It's a camera microphone, and the camera is on top of my monitor. So I can talk closer, as close as I can reach over my desk. And this is the Great Wall of Carmichael. It's a mural. The picture has paddle wheel boats in the center. If you can make out the boat, that's a paddle wheel boat. And above the rocks that you see on the bottom right are gold panners. There's a guy emptying his gold pan, or at least sluicing out some of the gold in the pan, and you can kind of make that out with the original image. I've not actually seen it in person. I also saw it on the web that Carol was describing, and I know it's in Carmichael. I've just never gone and had a look at it. The person that took the photo obviously was using a cell phone, and they did it. It's such a long wall that you have to do it in a panoramic mode, so moving your camera left to right to get it all in, to get the image. And you can get better images on the internet of each section, and definitely you can make it out. But this was the only one I could find that had the entire wall in it. Hopefully you can all hear me. It was 6 Bravo. Back to Net.
I think we could definitely hear you good enough. Thank you for the description on that one too. It's just that I think, like Carol pointed out, that your audio, your modulation was a little on the light side, and I think it still is. It may have improved, but still a little on the light side. And I apologize because I should have gone ahead through the list, but I missed checking in with Joel to see if he copied the photo. Do you want to give us a quick update, Joel?
I'm assuming this is somewhere in Carmichael Park. I know I've seen it before. I don't know if in person or on pictures. If this is American River, I'm a little confused because I don't think the river boats, the steam paddles, went up the American River, or certainly not very far because it just gets too shallow too quick. although I suppose it could have been different back in 49er days. But I'm wondering where this is. Is this it's facing a big cement area? So is this like a basketball court or a stage area for concerts? And I also want to mention that there's a tear about a third of the way down. I noticed it also on the YouTube site. So the top third is kind of tilted one direction, and then the bottom two-thirds is tilted another direction because the wedge of stuff is on the upper left for the top third and the lower right for the bottom third. Yeah, it's very colorful. I think I see that we've got the label portion top that says Carmichael with orange, bright orange on the left and right of Carmichael, and then the river scene above water. And is the bottom third of the picture maybe an underwater scene with maybe for some of those blobs fish in the river? Back to net, AI6TG.
All right, I think you got it. Yeah, Tom gave his update, and I think we are pretty much zeroing in on what it actually is, and it's definitely a fun mural. And now I'm curious. I want to go out there and take a look at it next time out that way. I can't remember what street this is on, but I think I know how to get there. It's like the landmarks will lead me there. I know that this is right off of. I believe it's right off of Manzanita, off of one of those streets going back towards DMV, but not quite that far in. Anyway, that's my thinking out loud. And any other questions or comments or follow-ups on the mural?
Whiskey 6 Bravo Sierra. It's Carmichael Park is where it's located, so you can find it on a map. And there is a local wiki on it, so if you search on the web, you can find more information. It's a 100-foot wall.
All right, thanks for that, Tom. Okay, well, let's see. We've made our way through number 2 on the list, and Carol, KP4MD, do you have a photo you'd like to send this evening?
Yeah, yep, I'm going to go ahead and set up just a moment. KP4 Mike Deltas. Hold on.
All right, wonderful. Yeah, thanks for seeing that, Tom. That was colorful.
Well, you called me Citrus Heights. I had to change my image.
Yeah, you had to change your image. I could see now why I inspired it. I sometimes get Citrus Heights and Carmichael confused in my head for some reason. So I'll get it straight eventually. Or one day it won't matter.
Okay, KP4MD is now sending PD120. PD120, here it comes.
Wow, N6EMF here, net control. Yes, Carol, thank you for sending that. Another colorful photo, and I'm not going to spoil the fun this time. I'm going to pick on, I'll start off with Joel. Alpha India 6 Delta Golf. Joel, can you give a report on this photo? Were you able to copy from KP4MD?
Reception. So we have a guy standing in what looks like it's probably a store, because we've got pegs with antenna parts on the wall to his left. Well, his right, our left, and he's holding a looks to be the base of a big vertical. Well, not big, but an HF vertical of some kind. Because I see a screw-on base and a vertical and a loading coil, and he's holding it on above his shoulder. He's smiling. And with his other hand, he's pointing at it, and it's labeled "handles up to 20,000 watts." So I hope this is either a joke packaging or a CB shop, and not a ham shop. But I fear I'm wrong because it looks like he's wearing a badge. With a call sign on it. Back to net, AI6DG.
All right, very good. Thank you for that, Joel. I'll kind of go in a random order. I'll take in Tom, W6BS. Were you able to copy?
Whiskey 6 Bravo. So yes, I was, and the antenna has a coil on it, and as you said, handles up to 20,000 watts. If you look horizontally on the bottom, it's a K40 antenna, I guess, and the guy holding it up has a U.S. some branch of service retired in blue. I'm thinking that's blue, and I can almost read the badge. At least I think it ends in an F, and it probably starts with a K and it has a 6 in it, and then there's a yellow ribbon attached to his badge pointing at it. So it's an impressive antenna that handles more watts than an amateur should have a right to use. And then there's some other parts in the background. It looks like a store display and things. But this is probably the most interesting part that was picked up and got pointed at and a photo of. Back to net.
Yeah, that it's very interesting. 20,000 watts. I wonder if it's a turkey roasting beam antenna. Anyway, that's really cool. Anyway, let me turn it over to Neil, KL7HQR. Were you able to copy?
Roger, very good copy here, no problem at all. Not much to add. Exactly what has been described. The only thing I could possibly add that I believe that under his badge he has a yellow banner or something that seems to be the ARRL symbol, logo. So good pictures. All very. I could almost count the number of artifacts. Very, very clear. Back to that.
All right. Well, thank you for that, Neil. I like I said, I was able to copy the photo. I did have to correct for slant, and I don't think I'm gonna. I think I'm gonna turn it over to Carol and see what Kilo Papa 4 Mike Delta would say about the photo that she sent. But I was able to copy for sure. Go right ahead, Carol.
Okay, yeah, this is KP4MD. This actually was a picture we took about 3 to 4 years ago. This was the gentleman in the picture was my husband, Roger, KI6FYF. So you did get the letter there on his badge, and that ribbon that's hanging off the badge is an ARRL Life member ribbon. And we were actually up north. Up that valley here, about most of the way towards Reading, to visit a radio club they were doing a special event up there. On the way back, we decided to stop at a truck stop, and we saw this antenna hanging with the CB accessories, and I said, "This is an interesting antenna." The claim that they have, it handles 20,000 watts. Actually, if you Google that, they're still selling that antenna, and they claim it'll handle 20,000 watts. And I very sincerely doubt that it would do that, but it's designed for being mounted on a truck. All of those antennas do that. They mount them up on the mirror brackets on either side there of those tractor trailers. So it was just kind of a curiosity, and we thought it was kind of funny. So that's why we took that picture. So thank you very much for your comments on it. Back to net control. This is KP4 Mike Delta.
Well, thank you for the explanation, Carl, and you're welcome for the comments. I've been in that store before. I often travel to Reading for work, and going up north on Highway 5, just before you enter Reading, you can see this little shop off to the right, or on the, I suppose, east side of the Highway 5. It's like right off the exit. And I'm not sure if it's still there because I haven't been up there in about a year, but I suppose it still is. Okay, so
Yeah.
additional comments or questions on the antenna? Or for Roger, KI6FYF, was that his call sign?
Yeah, that was his call sign, and this particular truck stop was on the way back. Actually, it was coming down into just before Woodland and just north of Woodland. So you probably might know the one. It's right off I-5 there. Over.
Okay, yeah, I think I'm completely unaware of that one, so I was thinking the only other truck shop in that area, or up and down that corridor, would have been in Reading, but I guess I'm wrong on that one, so yeah, thanks for the refresh, but yeah, thanks for sharing a photo, and retired vet, that's great. Okay.
Comment?
Go ahead, Neil.
Yeah, first of all, Carol, thank you so much for sharing this picture and letting us have a chance to see your husband. You sound like a very happy man, and looks like you is a fun guy. And it says retired. If you can clarify when he was retired, if you mentioned, I missed. I was away from the rig for a second. And I think Joe said that 20,000 watts is something that no amateur radio should ever try to use. Either him or Wilson said it. But now it's clear. You know, it's a CB radio, so it's perfectly okay.
Oh yeah, 20,000 watts is okay for CB. Yeah, QSL on that, good buddy. Yeah, he's retired. He spent a total of 36 years in the military. He was 5 years in the Army, 5 years in Air Force Reserve, and then he was 26 years in the U.S. Coast Guard. So he was a career military person, and uh, was he was a quartermaster chief, was the highest rank he got, and he was buried in Monterey Bay with full military honors. It was a very touching ceremony they did. We went out in a boat out into the middle of the bay and did that. That was about a year ago, a little bit over a year ago, and they were very, very respectful, and that's what he wanted. So that's what we did. I surely do miss him. He passed away from a stroke back in September of 2000 and 2018. So back to net. This is KP4 Mike Delta.
All right, well, thanks for sharing good memories, Carol. Keep them coming, will you? So thank you for that. What I'll do is, let's see, I'll check with Joel. Joel, are you ready to transmit a photo?
Roger, Roger. Here goes, PD 120.
right, Joel, I think I was able to copy this photo. I'm going to have to slant correct it for some reason, and if I'm not mistaken, it's I shouldn't say another, but it's some kind of transportation terminal, I would gather. It looks like you might be in an airport with some really fun, dazzling type lighting overhead, probably LED or neon-style lighting. I forgot what you call those. They're kind of like conveyors for people walking in that environment, and so it must be an airport terminal or some other kind of terminal similar to that. So pretty interesting, pretty colorful. That's what I can see so far. Turning it over to Neil, KL7HQR. Were you able to copy?
KL7HQR, another very good copy. Yeah, definitely an airport, and that scene, I've been there. I have seen that. I know Cleveland has something similar, but it's underground to go from one terminal to the other, and looks like we are above ground, assuming by what appears to be daylight coming in from the windows. I believe I saw that in Chicago as well. Boy, all the airports get so confusing now. But yeah, very good picture, and I like the perspective of the picture too. Very artistically done with the vanishing point on the center quarter on the picture in the center on the left side. So very good picture. Okay, curious to know which airport it is. Back to that.
All right, thank you for that, Neil. Turn it over to Tom, Whiskey 6 Bravo Sierra.
All right, it's Whiskey 6 Bravo Sierra. I see, I would call it an escalator, but I'm assuming that it takes you up and down, and this one just takes you horizontally quickly, so you don't have to really walk. Although I often find people also walking, and they just rip along much faster, so they usually have the left side for the speedsters and the right side for people that just want to hold on to the railing. And I would guess the airport, I would say it's an airport, I would guess the airport is Denver. At least I've seen one like this in Denver. I do not remember the lighting like this, so it has blue curvy fluorescent lighting above the escalator, and curved lights on the left of fluorescent, maybe covered. I don't know, I've not seen those shapes, but I'll throw Denver as a guess. Back to net control.
All right, Tom, thank you for that. I've been to Denver quite a few times, and for me, it doesn't ring like Denver to me, but maybe I just didn't pay attention. So let's see. How about Carol, KP4MD? Copy?
Yeah, this is KP4MD. I've seen this. I've been there before. These moving walkways. In that particular airport, I think it's like half a mile distance between one terminal and the other, and you just have to keep going when you're switching, changing flights. You know, you have to go from one terminal to the other, and those are neon tubes above the walkway that they light sequentially, and they go down like in waves, away from you or towards you. I remember that the way they flash, and could be Denver, could be Dallas Fort Worth, or maybe Salt Lake City. One of those really big airports. I can't remember exactly which one it is. Back to net. This is KP4 Mike Delta.
All right, I think I've been to Dallas a couple times, but thanks for that, Carol. KP4MD has her update there. N6NA Net Control. I will turn it over to Joel. Let's see. AI6DG, did you want to tell us all you know about the photo you've sent? Thank you.
Other airports that were mentioned, I didn't know that they had anything like this, although I'm not sure I've been to any or all of those airports. This is Chicago O'Hare, and you can do a general search for Chicago O'Hare underground neon lights. I found one website. Here's a paragraph, a short paragraph. Perhaps O'Hare's most iconic bit of architecture is its underground tunnel between the B and C concourses in Terminal 1. A series of moving walkways connect beneath an 800-foot rainbow neon tubes that light up and reflect off overhead mirrors. So Carol got it in that it's a light show, basically, because you've got different colors, different tubes. They move in a sequence from one end to the other. I think the panels on the sides light up in different colors also. And when this is one of at least half a dozen to a dozen pictures I tried taking of this, and it's just hard to capture because you've got the lights changing in different colors. You've got people passing by and stepping in front of you. And I only had a cell phone, so plus I was in a hurry to get to whatever other gateway I was trying to get to because I had a connecting flight. So this does not really do this justice, but it is really pretty with the rolling colors and moving, and the airports definitely do look alike because they do start all rolling together. But to me, at least, this stands out. I've not seen anything quite like this anywhere else, which isn't to say that it's not someplace else or something similar, but I haven't seen it. And those rolling walkways are so much fun. You can either stand and get there eventually, or walk to get there even quicker. And if you're walking, you're passing by all those other people that are walking the hard way and not on the walkway. But it's always a challenge getting on and off of them. You got to be careful, otherwise you surprise yourself when all of a sudden you're either not going as fast or going faster than you were before. Back to net, AI6TG.
All right, lots of fun. Sounds like a traveling man. Thank you for that, Joel. Did we have any other comments or questions on the photo that Joel sent of the O'Hare Airport with the rainbow neon light show? All right, I'll give it a quick pause and then I'll send a photo in PD50. How's that? N6 EMF. All right, N6 EMF Net Control has sent his photo for the evening, and I'll turn it over to Neil, KL7HQR, to check in with him, see if he was able to copy.
Copy very well, KL7HQR. Yeah, I don't know if I see Royal there. It's a typewriter, very very common. I used typewriters like that for many years, and I never knew how to type without looking at the keys, and I had to type with very few fingers. But yeah, and now thinking about this, I don't know. This is what you mentioned when I sent the picture of the typewriters on the wall. But this would be too new to qualify for the wall in that hotel. But if you have this and it's still working, extremely well preserved. Back to that.
Thanks for the comment, Neil. I'll be sharing more about it. So how about Tom? Whiskey 6 Bravo Sierra, copy?
Yeah, I did copy it, Whiskey 6 Bravo Sierra. I actually, when I first took a typing class in high school, we had manual keyboards, and this is a manual typewriter. However, when we took the classes, there was no letters on the keys, so you just had to memorize by finger pattern where it should be an enter key, and it's a carriage return, and that was pretty important in typewriters. It would send the entire back piece back to the beginning to start your next line. So it was a carriage return. Back to net control, Whiskey 6 Bravo Sierra.
A lot of people have lost or never knew the meaning of carriage return and line feed. At best, they see them as non-printable characters in the ASCII character set, but fun stuff. Thanks for that, Tom. Carol, KP4MD, did you copy?
Yes, very good copy. It's up on YouTube, and it's a Royal typewriter in really good condition. It looks like it's almost in mint condition, and those were a pleasure to use. I actually learned on a Remington that my mom had because she took classes in secretarial skills, and she had this Remington typewriter in the house. And when I was a little kid, I looked through her touch typing book, and I taught myself how to type on it. And those skills have come in very handy since keyboards are now so prolific wherever you go. So back to Annette. This is KP4 Mike Delta.
All right, very good. Thank you, Carol. Joel, AI6DG. Go right ahead. Were you able to copy?
Excellent reception. I've got a burst of blue pixels right on the platen. Yeah, that's what the black thing, the rubber thing is that the keys hit. And just to the left of center of that, I've got a row of blue and some greens. And then I've also got some of those down on the, let's see here, that'd be the right shift key and between the, what is it, the N and M. Anyway, just a few keys to the left of the right shift key. I've also got some more green and red. So it's an old Royal typewriter with crinkle, the old style black crinkle paint, I'm assuming. I can't really tell for sure, but I'm assuming that's what it is. And someone said too new for the wall. I don't know about that. This is pretty old. This is probably 40s or 50s. So what does that make it? 60, 70 years old? Sounds pretty old. But this definitely brings memories. I mean, I took typing class in middle school long before I knew anything about computers. And can you imagine a whole classroom full of these during typing practice with all the clacks and the ding, jock, as someone returns the carriage? It was fun. Definitely a change, though, from going from the mechanical mechanisms on these to computer keyboards. A lot less effort and a lot less motion of the fingers. Yeah, this looks like nostalgia fun. Back to net, AI6DG. Thanks for the memories.
That's really fun. Yeah, so I was in high school in the probably mid-1980s and took a typing class where we learned on an IBM Selectric. I think that's what it was called, but it had that little rotating ball that would strike the paper. And then not around the same time frame, we were learning word processors. I think we were learning on something called Word Star or something like that, but it was based on a IBM PC, and you had to put the floppy disk in there, the 5 1/4, and it was really floppy, and run the program to run the word processor. So, and then when I started engineering school, I was in that generation where we transitioned from mechanical drawing with pencils and paper to AutoCAD, and then I went from Fortran to C. So I got caught up in all these transitions in my education. But anyway, let me draw. What this typewriter is about is I went through a phase of really wanting something manual to type on. So I set out to learn about typewriters and get one in good condition. And I can tell you something like this in this condition can cost you from $100 to $500 and up. So that's a little bit of trivia. Tom Hanks is obsessed with typewriters, if you didn't know that. And if I learned that from a documentary that I watched a few years ago called California Typewriter. If you're interested in at all in what's happening with typewriters, that it has a cult following right now, you can watch that documentary called California Typewriter on either Vudu or Vimeo.com, and it might be available in other places. All right, so what I did was I went downtown to a place called Keelet Typewriter and Fax. He's on 1926 16th Street, and he's been there. I mean, the shop's been there probably 40 or 50 years, but the guy that I bought this from, has basically a junkyard of typewriters in the shop. And I went in there, and we befriended each other, and I spent a few hours with him talking about typewriters and mechanisms, and we picked this one out of the closet, and I paid him, I think, $160 for it, and he kept it for about 3 weeks and restored it for me. And he said he earns about $1 per hour at that rate, and he's only doing it because he does it, as a business, but it's mostly for fun. And so it's more like a retirement activity for him that he's created a business out of. But he was servicing typewriters for the state of California back in the 80s and prior to that when it was really busy. And so I bought this one. I forgot the year, but I did look up the serial number and traced it back to approximately 43 or 44, maybe 45, 1945. And yeah, this is a Royal Deluxe. Okay, one last aspect to this I'll share for fun is I brought this typewriter home and I was so excited. So my kids, I got this in 2017 during the summertime, and the kids were out of school and they were waiting for me to come home with my new typewriter because I made a big deal out of it. And when it came home, we sat it down and we ran a sheet of typing paper through it, and we set them up to write a short story. So the objective was somebody will sit down and come up with some crazy title. Another person will sit down and start the story, and the other person will do one paragraph. And the challenge was to try to get the story written in one page. So 4 of us, me and the 3 kids, wrote short stories on this the first summer we had it. And since it's a portable typewriter, we put it back in the case and it went on the shelf. And we pull it out occasionally for fun. So there's a story behind the typewriter. N6NA. Go ahead, Neil.
Well, you bring back memories when you talk about WordStar, and you hit the names just correctly. And I did Fortran as well, and Fortran 7, Fortran 77, and Basic, a little bit of COBOL, but I never went to C, so I'm way behind the times. But as far as when you think about these typewriters, and you probably know it better than I do, why we have the QWERTY keyboards, which is because the original ones were so, the mechanism was such that if you type too fast, all the key would kind of jam against each other. So the QWERTY keyboard was placed to, on purpose, slow down typing. That's what I heard, and maybe you can confirm or deny that back to that.
That's exactly right. The mechanical, aspect of the machine at the time they were making these, they to keep the quality up and the production levels up, they just couldn't make things to be able to be that responsive. So they jammed or jumbled the keys up in such a manner to slow humans down. That's right.
Okay.
So yeah, this. Any other comments or questions?
Back to that.
I missed you, Neil. I must have doubled with you. Could you go again?
Just said I didn't need that to slow me down. I'm slow by nature, and I just said great net tonight, and send it back to you.
All right. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed that, and I sure did. So if there's no other questions, I'll take a quick pause, and then I'll seek to close out the net. All right. Well, Carol, I want to thank you again for keeping us on the air with YouTube, and want to give a shout out to all the YouTube viewers out there, and thank you for it being part of the show. So I want to thank you all. So Neil, Carol, myself, and Tom, Joel, want to thank you all for participating in tonight's SSTV Net. We'll hope to see you again next Wednesday at 9 o'clock p.m. The net is officially closed at 10:03 p.m. Pacific time. This is Wilson, November 6th, Echo Mike Foxtrot, wishing all of you a good evening. 73.